What advice would you give to yourself in your first year of college?
I think I would tell myself not to worry so much about my grades and to realize they aren't nearly as important as I think they are. When I came to UVA, I came in with the expectation that I would do as well in school as I had done in high school. And I had come from a rural town where it was relatively easy to make straight A's. And so I thought that would be the case here. And I had really formed my identity around my grades. That's who I was. I was the good student. And when people thought of Michael Lusk, they thought the good student. And I came here and all of a sudden I was just kind of an average student. And it really sent me for a whirlwind. I didn't know who I was, if I was just an average student. And I was just stressed. Especially coming to the second semester. It wasn't until after the end of the first semester where I got my report card that I realized, oh shoot, I'm just average. And so second semester was mostly miserable, not knowing who I was and also being afraid of the future. I thought good grades were going to be the key to get into a good graduate school, which would then get me a good job. And so I saw grades as what determined my future. And I was just miserable for most of my second semester trying to pursue good grades. And then thankfully, by God's grace, I met some Christians and got involved in the church that we now pastor and got into a Bible study with some men, and they talked to me about my grades and I shared how I was struggling and thinking about them. And one of the men asked me, God, or Michael, when you stand before God one day, do you think He's going to ask you what grade you got in math? And I realized, wow, yeah, that isn't what He's going to be really concerned about. He's not going to ask me about those things. It's not going to matter, years and years down the road whether I made an A, a B, or a C in calc. What's going to matter to God is if I was faithful to Him and if I loved Him. And so that really just caused me to rethink things. And he took me to Matthew chapter 6. And there's this section where Jesus talks about how God will provide for us. And Matthew 6:33 says, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things, food, clothing, that's what he's referring to, will be added unto you. And so I began to realize, well, first of all, my grades don't define me. God defines me. But second of all, that God was bigger than my grades and that He was going to take care of me regardless of what my grades were if I put Him first. And so I began to do that. I began to put God first, and instead of doing my schoolwork and if I had time, spend time with God, I began to make God the priority in my life. And all of a sudden, I was filled with great peace and joy that I hadn't experienced my whole first year, because I really felt God's presence with me and I felt His care for me. And I remember going into finals that second semester, being able to rest through them, not to worry about them, and that was just a remarkable thing. And then one of the coolest things, I don't think this is a guarantee to happen for everyone, but my grades actually got better. And I did become the student I wanted to be, but it was because I had my life in order and ordered under God. And so I wish I had known those things before coming into my first year, but I'm thankful that I learned them by the end of my first year. And it made my academic career go much more smoothly for the rest of my time here. And those lessons are ones I've taken into the rest of my life as well, to remember that that I'm not defined by my career or by how strong I am or how fast I am, but ultimately I'm defined by God and that I'm His son. And that ultimately, as my Father, He is going to provide for me. And so I don't have to worry about money or career success, that all those things are going to be taken care of by my good Father in heaven.
That's good. Thanks.
Yep.